urge you to continue, and you will get to greater heights. Mr. Speaker, I'm grateful for giving me an opportunity to contribute to the statement ably made by the Minority Chief Whip. Normally in this House, Mr. Speaker, I see tributes are paid to people that had passed on. It doesn't normally happen when somebody is alive and we pay tribute. Mr. Speaker, the 5th Parliament, I heard about Dr. Mafo, and especially the 6th Parliament, when I was the Vice Chair of Lands and Forestry Committee. Mr. Speaker, it came to a time that we had to do about land and forest depletion. And we had some subcommittees, of which one of them I was chairing. And researching, that was when I came across the name Dr. Emmanuel Mafo. He had already given us some papers that we couldn't go past, but had to use for our work. It was later at a party meeting when I met him. He was then the chair of the Oforikrom constituency that I realized that it was this Dr. Mafo that I had read about. Mr. Speaker, when he came to Parliament, he was placed on these other committees, including the Land and Forestry. And then he did other things like environment. And Dr. Mafo never played with his work. In Parliament, he had other things that he had to do. At the Ashanti Caucus, he became the secretary of the caucus. And his duties were done with admiration. I happen to be the chair of the caucus. Mr. Speaker, I would commend the leadership of the 8th Parliament and the 7th Parliament because Dr. Mafo, his background and what he knew, he never forgot about it. And he was given opportunity by the leaders to place him at the Rifle Committee. I will urge every member of this House, those who have come anew and those who are here, almost everybody in this House is a professional, one way or the other. And I encourage everybody to continue to practice his or her profession. Mr. Speaker, there are various committees, standing committees and select committees. And obviously, especially the first timers, if you should look through, you would find something that is relevant to your profession. If we should do that, Mr. Speaker, we can be sure that this House would be taken to a greater height. With this, Mr. Speaker, I will urge everyone in this House and urge leadership of the House on both sides of the aisle to look through the members that had come anew. And we have to identify each and every one where the person can practice most, and then we can place the person in order that Parliament of Ghana would be taken to a higher level. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Sam George.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise to contribute to the statement ably made by the Minority Chief Whip and MP for Ntawama Dojiri, the Honorable Anodom Pre, and states that as a technocrat myself, I'm proud of my fellow technocrat, Dr. Mafo, who I had the opportunity to serve in the 7th and 8th Parliament with. It goes without saying that irrespective of our political differences, Dr. Mafo was a fantastic parliamentarian and committed himself to the work that he did in his committees. And so it comes as no surprise his elevation and recognition on the international landscape. Even as a member of parliament, he represented the House on several climate and environment assignments. Mr. Speaker, I believe that as a country, we need to pay more attention to the challenges and difficulties that our food sustainability and security faces on the back of climate change. As a developing country, Ghana is one of the smallest contributors to greenhouse emissions and pollution of the ozone and the effects on climate change. However, Ghana is one of the biggest sufferers of the effect of climate change. You talk to farmers across our country and you realize the challenges that they are facing with predictability of the weather. And so as a country, the challenges that the previous speaker, Honorable Ayimedu, made reference to must go beyond the fantastic academic pieces and papers that are churned out by members of the academia to implementation by government heads and agencies. Because we have fantastic research and fantastic documents sitting on the shelves of many of our educational institutions, but these are not being applied for the benefit of our workers. And that's where, as a country, we need to get to. We need to apply the work that people like Dr. Mafo are doing for the betterment. And I believe that the new administration, with a focus on agribusiness and agriculture, would begin to give more impetus to things like this so that we can use the research to resource the agencies that need to be resourced. Because many times the agencies that need to implement some of these things are left behind because they're not seen as attractive enough. But those are the things that will give us economic stability when we have food security. And so, once again, I want to commend the maker of the statement because, like Honorable Ayimedu said, most times we hear of tributes in this house only after the person is dead. In fact, when he started the tribute, the first question I heard in the aisle is he dead? Because that is the norm in this house. We need to begin to celebrate our own and celebrate and recognize people for their contribution to national and international development. And so once again, I echo to technocrat Dr. Mafo. Thank you.
Honorable former Deputy Minister for Education.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I rise to thank the respected Minority Chief Whip, Honorable Anodompre, on the statement ably made that paid a glowing tribute to another respected colleague of ours in the 7th and 8th Parliament, the Honorable Dr. Emmanuel Mafo, on his contribution to environmental sustainability and climate change. And I wish to join him, together with other colleagues who have spoken before I rose, to congratulate Dr. Mafo on his well-deserved appointment as the new Director for Climate Parliament for the West and Central Africa. We have every confidence in his abilities to succeed. We wish him Godspeed. I've had the opportunity to serve in the 7th and 8th Parliament on a number of committees with Honorable Dr. Emmanuel Mafo, and in particular served with him on the Climate Parliament Ghana chapter, a caucus which he convened and chaired till his exit from the 8th Parliament. And the depth of his expertise in climate change, energy transition, and matters of sustainability is remarkable. And even most admirable is his commitment to mobilizing global action and raising advocacy to ensure that climate financing sees great attention and also key stakeholders tackle issues of climate change as one that is so important. Mr. Speaker, it is so important that in every parliament we have champions of climate change like we had in Dr. Emmanuel Mafo. And owing to it, I believe that another champion will rise up to that occasion. But considering the wide range of effects of climate change, from biodiversity loss to extreme temperatures and in particular displacement, it is important to also have champions of climate change, particularly in our schools, in all schools. It is important that we champion to raise champions who are going to be in our schools. Because, Mr. Speaker, whenever there's climate-induced disasters, education is the hardest hit. School-going children are the hardest hit. When there's flood and school disruptions occur, many children will have to stay out of school for days, if not for weeks or months. And therefore, the effect and the contribution that even the younger generation could adopt climate resilient practices is so important that at those early stages, they become familiar and young champions. On this note, I congratulate Honorable Emmanuel Mafo on this feat. I thank you.
Honorable Dr. Sandari.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. I also rise to contribute to the statement ably made by the Chief Whip of the minority side, a tribute, to Honorable Dr. Emmanuel Mafo, a former colleague of ours. Mr. Speaker, I also congratulate him on this great height. I was in the Climate Parliament Ghana chapter, and he was our chairman. And of course, I'm also a product or an alumni of Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. And therefore we are yes, technical school. Those of us from that great university of science and technology are proud of him.
How can you get a good thing?
Because he's demonstrating that it's a product
after you fail to enter Lagos
of that university. Mr. Speaker, we wish him well, and we hope that he will continue to contribute, to solving the problems of climate change, which we know affects all sectors of life. We know
sensitive. So, former regional minister, I'm looking at your back. Honorable member.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. I rise to support the statement by the Chief Whip. Mr. Speaker, we wish him all the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that brief. Honorable Namomo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the statement made by the Honorable Minority Chief Whip. I want to take the opportunity to also add briefly in congratulating the former Member of Parliament, Honorable Dr. Emmanuel Mafo, on his appointment to the Climate Parliament. I served with Honorable Mafo on the Gender Committee, Environment and Science, a friend to the Environment, Science and Technology Committee and then the Climate Change Caucus. And this appointment comes to encourage all of us here to bring to bear our professionalism to the work that we do on the floor. We've all witnessed how he tackled the issues on climate change with passion. And I vividly recollect his passion and frustration leading to the delays. In fact, the passage of the EPA bill, the Environmental Protection Bill. He took a non-partisan stand, and he was able to push all of us those on the floor who were playing neutral, to realize that it was a bill of interest to the nation. And for that matter, we should all put our partisanship aside and look at it with an objective eye. Today, the bill is passed into law, and we are all going to be beneficiaries of it. In fact, the nation Ghana benefits from it greatly. Today, his appointment comes to attest to the fact that if you work and serve diligently in this house, the house gives you the platform to be seen globally, and then also your work will be recognized. And today, we are all witnesses to what has happened to him. This afternoon, I can only add my voice to the many voices in wishing him well and encouraging all of us who are learning and hope to be somewhere, from this house, that there's life after this house. So whatever we do here, we should take cognizance of the fact that we'll be needed outside there. Life is beyond what we do on this floor. And so whatever we do counts, and we should take it seriously. Thank you very much, and congratulations to him once again.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Let me recognize the Honorable Member. You can talk.
Etiwa West.
Etiwa West.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. I rise to support the statement by the Minority Chief Whip and the contributions from my colleagues. Mr. Speaker, issues of climate change, energy transition, and climate financing are critical in the global community. As a nation, we must be excited that a respected former member of the House has been given this mandate to lead the charge for the African sub-regions on the climate emergency. This should also remind us as a House to prioritize climate issues to help prevent the destruction of livelihood in the near future. Mr. Speaker, we wish him all the best, and we say Ayiko. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Honorable Member, for Etiwa West. Prof, I'll come to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for recognizing committee members. I'm the first person to speak from the committee, of which Dr. Mafo worked. I was very fortunate to be working in the same committee with Dr. Mafo. We also worked together in the leadership of the committee, first as a deputy ranking and subsequently as a chair of the committee. Dr. Mafo is a very nice person who transcended political boundaries. He recognized capacity, he recognized resource, and so he gave level ground to all of us to work in the committee. Dr. Mafo is a resource-oriented person. He is somebody who is a team player, very hardworking, and I have no doubt that he has been able to achieve this feat. We worked together to get the Environmental Protection Bill passed. As a committee, Dr. Mafo was also very instrumental in ensuring that we form Climate Parliament in in Ghana, in the Parliament of Ghana. And so he subsequently worked very hard to ensure that we got that particular caucus inaugurated. So I have no doubt of Dr. Malfoy's capacity to be able to work in the office that he has found himself. I can only, and on behalf of the committee, we can only wish him well, and we have no doubt that he will make Ghana to shine for the rest of the world to see where we are as a country. I thank you so much for the opportunity, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member for Ketu South, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when I was coming to the Parliament of Ghana in 2021, I had no idea that I'll be inundated by the tidal waves that hit my community in 2021. But when that disaster happened, one of the few people who approached me to comfort me and to guide me was Honorable Mafo. He understood that part of the problem which led to the tidal waves was because of climate change and global warming. He so educated me on it, and because of that education, I joined the Climate Parliament, and also joined the Disability Caucus because of Dr. Emmanuel Mafo. Because of that passion which he has for our world, he gave me a lot of materials to read. Having read them and appreciated them, I decided to go on the internet and join the Global Climate Parliament. Mr. Speaker, I got opportunity to travel with Dr. Mafo to IPU and also 2 other international conferences out of this country. And on those platforms, it was a pleasure and a joy to see our brother speak on this matter of climate change, and you felt proud as a Ghanaian. His leadership style is one that embraces both his profession, his career, and also just being a human being with feelings for one another. I've had opportunity to speak to him about family life. I'm his big sister, and I've shared a lot of experiences with him on how to raise his children. It's important that we learn to marry both what we do inside Parliament and what our private lives are, because it's the totality of the human being that we are talking about. Dr. Mafo exemplifies that, and I think that his leadership style is worthy of emulation. Today, I join all our members of Parliament who have spoken highly about Dr. Emmanuel Mafo to say that, indeed, here is a great man who is being celebrated in his lifetime for his work that he's done for our country, and now he has the opportunity to shine even brighter on the global stage and make Ghana great and proud. I thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Speaker, and may we all learn from his example. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member for Ketu South. Honourable Dako, I saw you on your feet. Let me hear you.
Yeah, he wants me to talk.
On your feet to speak. Honourable Member, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would like to commend the Minority Chief Whip, Honorable Frank Kwabena Annan-Dompreh, for the statement, and also joined teaming member of the House who have spoke in high esteem of our senior, our doctor, our lecturer, Dr. Emmanuel Mafo. The Speaker, having worked with NADMO and having attended several climate change programs. Speaker, we made reference to papers and publications that were made by Dr. Mafo. And today I am not surprised that he has attained that height he has attained. The Speaker, the elevation of Dr. Mafo should draw our attention to some major fundamental issues that as a House, both political divides, need to concern ourselves with. The Speaker, it has to do with securing funds for research that had to do with promoting climate change and its consequences. The Speaker, we can make reference to the National Climate Change Policy document. The Speaker, when this document was passed, major among the challenges that confronted this document and its implementation was funding. The Speaker, it is important that as a House, we together look at how we can secure dedicated funding to issues of climate change and also encourage investors to also look into funding and supporting climate change issues. The Speaker, the next issue should be the political will. The Speaker, as many as we spoke, had to talk about challenges, effects, consequences of climate change. But Mr. Speaker, when it comes to the political will, it becomes a problem. So I will urge the House to look at the heights Dr. Mafo has attained, to encourage all of us to be interested in supporting bills and other things that have to do with climate change. With these few words, Mr. Speaker, I want to congratulate once again Dr. Mafo for attaining this height. Thank you.
Honorable Member, Honorable Ebenezer Oklite Telabi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for the opportunity to also comment on the statement. Mr. Speaker, a lot of us here who were in the 8th Parliament did not understand the chemistry between myself and Dr. Mafo. In fact, our relationship started from Kumasi KNUST campus precisely when he was the party chairperson for Forikrum and I was a candidate for the NDC. And in fact, Mr. Speaker, the interesting thing is that anytime we met, we never discussed anything politics. It was all about science, technology, innovation, and climate change. And therefore, I don't know, by an act of God, I came here a year before him, but we ended up being on the same committee, and that chemistry continued. And if you look at what happened in our committee, you realize that there was that harmony because we understood each other. We knew what we were all about. I am not surprised about this appointment because I know what Mafo is made up of and what he believes in. But my worry, Mr. Speaker, is that today, issues of climate and climate change, climate funding is so green. We need people with such expertise to guide policy and to help in unlocking, the various funds to support in mitigating the effect of climate change in this country. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, I know for a fact that my colleague Mafo did not just decide not to contest, but circumstances led him to bow out. Mr. Speaker, this will go to all of us. If indeed we recognize the potential, the expertise of colleagues, we need to find a way, at least to protect such, people, so that at least Dr. Mafo is young and he has more years ahead. And I believe that if the NPP party had protected him and given him that opportunity, he would have helped a lot in shaping policy insofar as climate issues are concerned in the House. Unfortunately, we lost him. Today, another opportunity has been given to him. And I shudder to, say that the influence would be directed towards the developed countries than Ghana. And we may not benefit too much from his exploits. Like when he remains in Parliament. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I just want to advise that much as we believe in democracy, we must give everybody opportunity. But then, Mr. Speaker, when we have people with special expertise, especially like climate change, climate financing, areas where are so green, which we don't have so much, experts, we should encourage our various parties to protect such persons so that we make maximum use of them. On that note, Mr. Speaker, I congratulate my colleague and I pray that the good Lord guide him wherever he finds himself. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable former Regional Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to support the statement made by the Chief Whip of our side in congratulating the good work and the elevation of Dr. Emmanuel Mafo. Mr. Speaker, I had known Dr. Mafo when he was the chairman for the Ofori-Krom constituency, because his predecessor was a very good friend of mine. Secondly, I'd also known Dr. Mafo at KNUST, where I was a student, and then Dr. Labi, Tel Labi, was also there. Currently, we are neighbors, but next door neighbors. So we are happy that a student of KNUST, our own, has been elevated for the West and Central Africa Climate Program. Mr. Speaker, Dr. Mafo is one person that was very strong with his thoughts, and even on our own platform, he was fearless. He was very strong in pushing any agenda that he believed was right and good for the good people of this country. Mr. Speaker, Dr. Mafo was also the chairman for the Parliamentary Climate Caucus, of which I was a member. As a student of sustainable development and a biochemist, I have always believed in saving the planet and always believed that the sort of thing that Dr. Mafo did in supporting Ghana in our thinking about climate action, climate emergency, climate finance, and the energy transition, including resilience, were key components of keeping our country and its biodiversity up to this day. It is therefore my wish and hope that as he set foot into the world of work with the West and Central Africa Program of Climate Parliament, key issues like local ownership of the ideas of climate action, key issue of the ideas of climate finance will get to the bottom and the grassroots of our people so that we'll own it instead of just being a policy at the top without going down, and we keep talking about them year in, year out without the real actions on the ground. Mr. Speaker, I also do believe that all the books and textbooks and all the projects and the theses we've written in the universities, there should be local solutions and local technologies to solve a lot of these problems. If we are able to get this ownership and the local solutions together at the local level, Mr. Speaker, I do believe that we'll be solving more of our problems than always looking after the effect, instead of looking at the pre-effect of a lot of the things that we've been talking about in this country. With these few words, I wish once again to say Ayuko to Dr. Emmanuel Mafo. And I believe that as he has been elevated, other people in our ranks as Parliament would also be elevated in our area of work and profession. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Thank you. Let me take Honorable Bajira, then I'll come to the leadership of the House.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also want to add my voice to the colleagues who have already eulogized our brother, Dr. Emmanuel Mafo, former Member of Parliament for Forikrom. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Dr. Emmanuel Mafo, he met us in this House, and he has created himself very well, as not only as a scientist, but also as a politician. Mr. Speaker, we know he cut across both houses. He's somebody who you can approach. When there are issues in this House, we all know you approach him and say, well, you are in the minority, we are in the majority. Please, let's work together and let's have consensus. When the days are heated, you will not see him talking, he'll just walk to you. Those of us who are his colleagues and friends come to you and say, well, let tempers cool down and let us work with consensus. Mr. Speaker, I've been in two committees, two associations with him, GOPAC and APNAC, African Parliamentarians Network Against Corruption. And I've traveled with him around the world, as well as GOPAC. And Mr. Speaker, I can tell you that he has depth and knowledge in this very area of climate change. And so I wasn't surprised at all when I met him yesterday. And I said, oh, what are you doing, my brother? So I've moved on. And I said, what is in the pipeline? And he said he's been made the director for West Africa and East Africa for Climate Parliament. And I was saying, and I told myself that this is a good step for us, and we should all learn, especially those of us who are here for the first time. You come to this House, you may not know when you step out of this House. Prepare yourself for the future. It is possible that you spend only one term in this House, but if you spend your lifetime here, or one term here, and you carry yourself very well, and you study studiously, you find yourself not only on a local stage, but in the international stage as well. For Mr. Mafo, he's moved on. He's no longer a member of Parliament, but he has moved on to exhibit that which he has learned from this House as a politician and a scientist. And so when you come, whether you are a lawyer, you are a teacher, or even an engineer, please add politics to your profession. And so that when you are no longer a member of Parliament, you can also find yourself on another platform where you can exhibit your profession and politics. With this few words, Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Emmanuel Bajira. Honorable leaders.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Are you speaking for the leadership?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Speaker, I first of all want to congratulate you personally. It seems everybody is talking about Dr. Mafo, but I also have to talk about Right Honorable Bernard Ayafo. Honorable Bernard Ayafo. Mr. Speaker, this is because of your current elevation and the fact that you are a Jolalian, and I feel special that you are a Jolalian and you were once my classmate. I feel very humbled by that. Mr. Speaker, besides that, I also, in support of the Chief Whip's earlier statement, want to also talk about Dr. Mafo. Mr. Speaker, this is because he's shown a lot of alacrity and he's moved to a position that one has to commend him. Mr. Speaker, this is because for some of us who are new here, we are emboldened by the fact that we can come learn and learn properly and aspire to be somewhere beyond the borders of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, I pray that Dr. Mafo in his new position would also concentrate on blue economy, where we have a lot of issues we are dealing with, especially in Ghana, where we are overwhelmed with filth and squalor. Mr. Speaker, I believe that he's going to concentrate on social inclusion and especially the preservation of livelihoods and growth. And it's our prayer that all will go well with him. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable Minority Leader, before giving you the floor, let me state that you would always have your pride of place in this august house as a minority leader. Your support and cooperation for the chair you've never withheld. So we'll continue to have a very healthy debate in this particular house, counting on your support. Honorable Minority Leader, you may now have the floor.
Mr. Speaker, we shall remain friends and brothers till casket. I'm happy, Mr. Speaker. I know that sometimes we all sleep, but it's okay. We are in this together. Mr. Speaker, thank you for those kind words, and in that same spirit, I want to assure my friends who are in government that we know the support we had from you when we were in government. We are not going to obstruct government business. There are fundamental and ideological disagreements. We'll keep friendship, but make our case and keep your feet to the fire without prejudice. And we will do so in utmost respect to all of you in this chamber. Most of you here are our friends. We break bread together. We do positive things together. It's not politics that will divide us. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to assure my colleagues. That said, Mr. Speaker, I'm adding my voice to the statement made by chamber engineering, and he came out strongly and expressed an opinion. And I told him that, Doc, at least you could have discussed this with me privately. He acknowledged that, and we settled our matter at the holding room behind us. Yeah. That is the character of Dr. Mafo. Mr. Speaker, but what do we learn from him? Mr. Speaker, a lot of times parliamentarians create the impression that there's no life after parliament. And this is where I want to spend a bit of time to make some few points. And particularly to our fresh entrants, our colleagues who have just joined us. You may be coming from your different professions. I want to tell you that don't abandon your profession. Way back 2013, when we were here, Right Honorable Do Ajaho encouraged those of us with our professions, particularly those of us who practice in a court, to try and practice. And that we did. I would encourage those of you who are teachers to continue to find space to teach. Those who belong to other professions, explore. And then back again to Parliament. This chamber, the debates, the advocacy on this floor is perhaps about 5%, or let me say less than 10% of our work. Your real advocacy is at the committee level. How you distinguish yourself outside of this floor. And if you get the opportunity to travel on any parliamentary delegation, your duty as a parliamentarian is to make your name. Because Ghana is an example for the world and to the world. So Ghana is an example to the world and for the world. And parliamentarians from Ghana are so respected. So, honorable colleagues, I am urging you, take every advantage of this parliament. Don't be too worried if you don't get the opportunity to clear your throat on the floor. People may be intimidating you. Your majority chief whip, who is very calm these few days, if you see his advocacy in opposition, and Honorable Ahmed Ibrahim, these are strong voices that if you are not careful, you may be intimidated. Or the way they get up and come out strongly, you may say, hey, for me, how can I make it? Even if you don't get the opportunity, please know that there is an opportunity for you after Parliament. So build your career, build your CVs, and I know that very soon we'll be hearing great names from amongst us. And we wouldn't only be reading tributes, but we'll be celebrating. And colleagues, let us compliment each other. Once upon a time, a respected colleague who is no more with us, Honorable Kennedy Japan, there came a time where we were opposing government policy in this floor. We were then in opposition. The MPP was in minority. We saw him walk into the chamber. We thought he was going to join us to strongly oppose the NDC government. When he took his turn, he said, Mr. Speaker, this is not about NDC or MPP. It's about systems and policies. Mr. Speaker, I rest my case on this note. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minority Leader. Honorable Deputy Whip.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, this being the very first time you've taken the high chair to preside over this House, Mr. Speaker, I want to join my other colleagues to congratulate you on your ascension to that high position. Mr. Speaker, as if by coincidence, anyway, this may be social comparative advantage because your constituency happened to produce a first deputy speaker in this House, which paved the way for us to go into by-election and to bring you. And today, you have succeeded your predecessor, not only as MP for that very constituency, but to the high office of a first deputy speaker in this august House. Mr. Speaker, based on that, together with my colleagues, we are all commending you. Mr. Speaker, but you have a function. Your predecessor encouraged and advised the minority leader, and he is here. May you continue to encourage him. Mr. Speaker, on the occasion of the statement that was made by the Honorable Minority Chief Whip, Mr. Speaker, I've listened to the various comments by colleagues. And Mr. Speaker, I want to join them to commend Dr. Mafo. In fact, one day I was with him in Geneva, and the Right Honorable Speaker Bagwin called me and said, Ahmed, have you seen Dr. Mafo? He is super. He has made Ghana proud, and I'm going to encourage him. I'm going to support him. So, Mr. Speaker, in any of the international conferences of IPU, Dr. Mafo was supported to be there by the Right Honorable Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, when he is chairing the Climate Committee as chairman, Mr. Speaker, you'll be proud that he's a Ghanaian. So I'm not surprised. He is not there by default. He's not there by coincidence. But I used to talk to him as a whip. I also used to encourage him. He told me, after Parliament, I want to form a climate something. So I'm not surprised today he's there. And Mr. Speaker, the framers of our Constitution were very apt when they brought Article 103 Clause 5, that the composition of committees of Parliament shall reflect the different shades of opinion. Members must take a cue from this. If you are a lawyer, when we are forming the Judiciary Committee, you hardly find lawyers to apply for that committee. Mr. Speaker, and in the fifth, Mr. Speaker, and this is a house.
Honorable Deputy Whip, Honorable Boma, are you on point of order?
Rightly so, Mr. Speaker.
Order what?
Mr. Speaker, under the inherent powers of the standing orders, Mr. Speaker, it's not entirely right that lawyers do not want to be part of the Judiciary Committee. He knows that the Judiciary Committee is a one-item committee. Mr. Speaker, you know that for sure, that the Judiciary Committee, of which you've been a member, is just a one-item committee. After the budget of the judiciary is approved, that ends it. So what are you there to learn? Thank you.
Honorable members, Honorable Deputy Whip.
I'm coming. Mr. Speaker, I'm a whip. Just to corroborate what he's saying. The truth is that many lawyers in the House don't like to serve on the Judiciary Committee. And that is a fact. We are about to set up committees again. I don't know. Maybe they know the law already or something like that. So they don't like serving on the Judiciary Committee. So we are encouraging them. Mr. Speaker, if you give us the authority, now that we are coming to form the new committees, we will make sure that majority of the lawyers in this House will be on the Judiciary Committee.
Honorable members, by way of raising an objection, he stated that after consideration of the budget of the judiciary, what else? Honorable members, I believe it's the duty of the whip to look at the background of members and decide which committee they should belong. But let me give the floor to Honorable Mahama Ayarga.
Mr. Speaker, it is not true that the lawyers don't want to serve on the Judiciary Committee. I served on the Judiciary Committee for one term of Parliament. I served on the Judiciary Committee for one term of Parliament. But very often the lawyers are not many. Very often the lawyers are not many. So when you do the distribution between subsidiary legislation and then Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee, you often don't have many to spare to deal with Judiciary Committee. So it is not the case that the lawyers don't want to serve on the Judiciary Committee. But on a lighter note, lawyers are not judges. Lawyers are not judges. So you cannot say that because we are lawyers, we should be interested in serving on the Judiciary Committee. And in a court, there is the judge, but there is the accused, and then there is the defendant, and then there is the applicant. These are all parties that should be serving in the Judiciary Committee. There are parties that should be interested in the Judiciary Committee. So it doesn't have to be the lawyers alone, but the accused persons, and there are many accused persons sitting here, and then the litigants and registrars. So all those people are interested in the Judiciary Committee.
Honourable Member, myself, I was the Vice Chairman of the Judiciary Committee at the 6th Parliament as a lawyer. So that should attest to the fact that lawyers have been serving as a judiciary in the Judiciary Committee. I know Honorable Roxanne Nelson Dapamako is a lawyer, my good friend, has also served on the Judiciary Committee. So lawyers have been serving on the Judiciary Committee of Parliament. Sosu is a lawyer, also served the Judiciary Committee. And it is also true that lawyers are not many. The rule is that you cannot serve on more committees on one side. So after distributing them, so you may continue your comment.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, for the sake of my friends who are lawyers.
Ashampo, are you on point of order?
Mr. Speaker, I'm interested party in this matter. So, the very person who is putting the blame on lawyers, they do the distribution of committees. Mr. Speaker, they made me the deputy ranking member of the Judicial Committee. I'm not a lawyer. Though I have LLB, I advise them, put me to a committee of which my expertise will be used.
Honorable Achampo.
So, Mr.
Honorable
Speaker,
Achampo, as a burden lawyer.
The problem comes from leadership.
Honorable Achampo, as a burden lawyer, do you think your expertise are not needed at Judiciary Committee?
At least they should have made me the deputy ranking member. At least a member would do. When I complained, they took me to sports committee.
Honorable members, let's conclude comment on the statement with all due respect. So, Honorable Deputy Whip.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for that opportunity. But Mr. Speaker, for the sake of my friends who are lawyers, I believe that aspect where I said lawyers don't want to serve in the Judiciary Committee should be expunged. But Mr. Speaker, I quoted Article 103.
I also direct as such.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I quoted Article 103, Clause 5 for a specific reason. And this is the very first time this is the very first statement that we are commenting on in this House. Mr. Speaker, I've been here for 16 years now. And this is my 17th year. Mr. Speaker, I've seen former members of Parliament who excelled very well in their committees. And therefore, after their exit from Parliament, international organizations have been chasing them. And I'm not surprised that Dr. Mafo has been the immediate one. I can also mention of the Honorable former Foreign Affairs Minister, Honorable Shalaya Kobuchi. I can mention the Honorable Dr. Mohammed Ibn Chambers. I can mention the Honorable Dr. Hanatete. I can mention Honorable Dr. Kwame Ampofo in the energy sector. they will be in their constituencies, and international organizations will write letters to come and be fighting for them to go and do international assignments. So, colleagues, just as you have come, if you are made to go and serve in a committee, go and work diligently. Your talents will sell you. I'm proud of Dr. Mafo, and I believe many lessons can be learned from this. Mr. Speaker, to conclude, Dr. Mafo as a person has performed creditably well. He has gained international recognition. But as a country, if there's a sector that we haven't performed well in this our generation, it's in the field of environment. We should not only become theoretical environmentalists, we must be practical environmentalists as well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Thank you. Honourable members, let me also add my voice by thanking the maker of the statement highlighting the good work of Honourable Dr. Emmanuel Mafo, the former member of Oforikrom, on the subject matter under reference. Honourable Dr. Mafo, your good work as a member of Parliament and your interest in climate-related matters is worthy and deserve of emulating. Your contributions to climate change is recognized nationally and internationally. Thank you very much for lifting the image of Ghana very high and making Parliament of Ghana very proud. Once again, thank you very much. Honourable members, statement time is ended. Any indication from the majority leadership?
Mr. Speaker, it was meant to be a short sitting today, and it's past 2 o'clock. Mr. Speaker, if it will please you, I've had some discussions with the minority leader. Some names came out today and were referred to the appointment committee. Just as under Order 65(1), sometimes the President communicates to the House, and in some circumstances the action is taken, and then whenever Parliament is properly constituted, Speaker reads out the communication to the House. We agreed that if it would please the House, if further communication comes to the attention of Mr. Speaker that requires referral, Mr. Speaker can go ahead and make those referrals, and when we return on a Thursday, then Mr. Speaker can bring that to the attention of the House. Unfortunately, I haven't seen. Okay, Honourable Wama is here to maybe.
Available leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me corroborate what the Chief Whip said. It's true the acting clerk conferred with the minority leader who asked me to just reiterate that point to you, that we'll be expecting a supplementary list from the President on his nomination. We know that list has kept a lot of my colleagues in the chamber, and I believe when the list is submitted to Mr. Speaker, we'll go through the motions, but we'll indulge Mr. Speaker and the President and take it through the appointments committee, as said. So just keep your nerves cool. Once the list is submitted, we'll work on it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, leadership.
Yes,
yes,
Mr. Speaker, if that to be the case, the proposal is for us to come back on Thursday. But, Mr. Speaker, it's not very usual for us to start the week on Thursday. may we, if it pleases the House, can we propose that instead of coming back on the 16th, we come back the Tuesday, the 21st? 21st, because our colleagues, the first-term colleagues are supposed to go through some orientation for 4 days. At least it gives them the next weekend to also, the rest before they come back on Tuesday. But I didn't discuss that with my colleague, so I know the way he was looking at me, he will say that was not part of the agreement. But I know he will have some comment to make.
Yes, Honourable Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I can see the incoming Majority Leader and his deputy conferring. And I've just also heard, those of us in opposition, we know more things than those of you in government. So if you ask me, I can tell you, all of you, where you are going. But you don't know. That is how it is. When I know, Ama Kofi Boa is going to land. Yeah, you are going to land. Are you scared? Nobody will stop it. If destiny has it for you, you will get it. Why are you scared? Kwame Agboja is going to roads and highways. Yeah, we know Ahmed Ibrahim is going to local government. And a lot of you will remain at the backbench.
Honourable Leader. Honourable Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, Honourable Achampong, Mr. Speaker, he has done so well. Yes. I will be surprised if he's not sent to the Ministry of Finance as deputy. I will be surprised. I will be surprised. And Dr. Apak is definitely going to education as deputy education minister. Mr. Speaker, we know. That's why I know Honourable Ayariga is going to assume the black chair. And his deputy is my good friend, Kweku Rickett. Because, yes, Kweku is going to be the deputy minority leader. And, Mr. Speaker, once again, majority of them will remain at the backbench.
Honourable Minority Leader.
Anyway, Mr. Speaker.
The issue before the House is whether the adjournment should be on the 16th or 21st.
That is so.
With all due respect.
Mr. Speaker, my good friend, Honourable Agboja, he knows the practice of the House. You can't just come to the floor to make an announcement. You know it. You normally engage. Now you see, Agboja, you see. Mr. Speaker, Agboja today is begging me. Mr. Speaker, Agboja is begging. Mr. Speaker, the firm put the incoming chief whip. You see, you are coming. We know you are coming. Mr. Speaker, Kwame is begging me. What he did to me when I was there, Agboja Panye. Mr. Speaker, time changes. I won't do that to him because I know 2020 now I will be there. So, Mr. Speaker, I will be magnanimous. I will oblige him. Though he didn't consult me, I will oblige him.
Honourable Minority Leader, did I hear you say 2039?
No, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, where you are, you cannot join the debate. Mr. Speaker, I said, Mr. Speaker, I said 2029. I didn't say 39, 29.
Okay.
Mr. Speaker, so Kwame has been my good friend. He did many things to me. I will not repeat. You know, to forgive is divine. So even though he did not consult this side of the house, you are begging. Today you are doing this. Mr. Speaker, I know he is anxious for his appointment. He's worked so hard for it. He deserves it. And I will not stand in his way. Mr. Speaker, I oblige him. Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you. Since the will of the House is to adjourn it to Tuesday, 21st, we shall do Tuesday, 21st. Around members, is 21st not Tuesday? Instead of 16th, instead of Thursday, 16th, the will of the House is that it be adjourned to Tuesday.
Just for emphasis, my respected colleague, Honorable Patrick Yabuama, Member of Parliament for Okaikwe Central, a respected lawyer and a 4-term Member of Parliament of this House. Mr. Speaker, he had earlier submitted that in the spirit of cooperation and the need to assist the government to get into motion as quickly as possible, whilst we adjourn all nominations that would come by way of correspondence be assumed to have been so announced on the floor so that it can be ferried to the appointment committee for us to continue the work on them. Mr. Speaker, if I may invoke Order 3, the incoming majority leader is helping me, and that I take a cue. Mr. Speaker, I will ground my application under Order 3 of the rules of the House, so that we make progress there. Mr. Speaker, for the avoidance of doubt, I would read Order 3, and for the benefit of our young ones, Order 3.1 provides, quote, subject to the provisions of the Constitution, a motion for the suspension of an order or part of an order may be moved without notice with the leave of the House. So basically what I was just trying to put across was that per our rules, when there's communication, and that's why we have it on our order paper, it must be read. On this occasion, we only have one that has been read by Mr. Speaker. Subsequent ones may come whilst this House is not in session. So we're praying that the rule be suspended to allow Mr. Speaker to proceed to refer as though same is regular within the context of our rules. Mr. Speaker, that is the rule of procedure. And the jurisprudence of the House allows us to come under Order 3 to achieve the same effect. So, Mr. Speaker, having said so, I move that the said expected referrals be considered and deemed as having been so done properly at plenary, so that the appointment committee can proceed to do the vetting. I add this to regularize the earlier point made by my respected colleague. If the House so pleases.
Mr. Speaker,
Thank you.
I second the motion.
Motion moved and seconded. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The Speaker of Parliament will act accordingly. Thank you, honorable members. Honorable members, before adjourning, let me use the opportunity to thank the entire House for the confidence reposed in me in electing me as the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament. I promise to work with you very diligently and reliably with your support. I am forever grateful. All my friends, the entire House, will forever be remembered. So, Muntala Mohammed, don't worry. You are in my mind. Roxanne Dafamoko, I'm all for you. Thank you. The House is accordingly adjourned. The House is accordingly adjourned till Tuesday, the 21st day of January 2025.
Last year was my first trip to Africa. Before I came to Africa, I worried a lot, like anybody else. This and that, this is no good, that is no good, this is not safe, everything. But I said, no matter whatever you worry, you have to step on Africa and feel it and touch it yourself. So I came. I thought, it's too late. Why didn't I come 10 years ago? Africa is a continent full of opportunities. And I was inspired and I said, from now on, every year I will come to Africa, visit the 3 countries. So this is my second trip to Africa. And I hope in next 10, 15 years, I can finish visiting 54 countries in Africa, every country. And I came with a lot of friends, business leaders in China, and they said, what we can do? I said, don't do anything, come here, feel it. Only when you feel it, you will love it. When I left Africa last year, I feel something should be done, and a lot of things can be done. And I asked myself one thing, that the day when I start Alibaba, and I told my team, and there is a sentence we remember, if not now, when? If not me, who? Right? So we said, let's come to Africa, do something. And this is why we came. And people say, well, Africa, there's so many problems. Tell me, in the world there is a place there's no problems? There's no place in the world there's no problems, right? And people say, yeah, Africa is poor, there's no wealth, but I feel there's the best wealth of human beings here. You have a beautiful air, blue sky, and the nature and wild animals. These are the richest assets that the whole world admire, and especially China. We admire blue sky. Right. I wish I could stay here for 20 days and for a whole month here. And I visited Ethiopia and Botswana and South Africa this time, and we already start to plan next year what are the countries we want to visit. And people say, well, Africa is too old, but I think this continent is such full of young people everywhere, right? And when you listen to the entrepreneurs, the e-founders when in Hangzhou, I said, these people, the entrepreneurs in Africa, they are the first class in the world. I'm not telling, I'm saying from the heart. The way they say, the dream, the belief, the action, and the passion. This is amazing. I think this land is full of chance, full of opportunities, full of dreams. Entrepreneurs do the things before everything's ready, right? There will be no Alibaba if everything's ready. Why Jack Ma? This guy failed again for so many times. Failed examination for university for 3 times. No money, and my father, my mother, both are very poor people in the cities. So there's no chance for us. Africa the same. Today's Africa is much better than 19 years ago when we started Alibaba. People with such a terrible speed at that time of using internet. You know, when I started my business in 1994 for the internet, I invite a lot of people say, Jack is telling a lie. There is no such thing called internet. I went to register my company, and in the company registering office, people say, what kind of a company you want to do? I said, Hangzhou Internet Consulting Company. He said, internet, there is no such word in the dictionary. They cannot register the company. And China was not connected to the internet the day when I registered my company. 3 months later, China was connected to the internet. So in order to prove that I was not a liar, I invited TV people came to my room. We waited 3 hours and a half to download the first front page. And that was true, right? And this is said, and at that time, nobody believed internet. Nobody believed e-commerce. Nobody believed China would have e-commerce. No logistic, no credit cards. The same question people asking you now, how can Africa have internet companies? How can you do e-commerce? You don't have a credit card. You don't have a logistic. You don't have government support. You don't have everything. That's the opportunity. As an entrepreneur, we never complain. We make other people complain. We make our competitors complain. We never cry, because if cry can solve the problems, can solve no problem. We make competitors cry. We make those people who do not believe our dreams cry. In my apartment when we started, 18 founders,